Hey Reddit, what was your "thank God I looked at the contract" moment? My wife and I were at a car dealership buying our first car. The dealership was offering special no-interest financing for recent college grads, and we were using that to finance the car. The finance guy presented us with two options: a 3-year payment plan and a 5-year payment plan. The whole time he made it sound like the zero interest applied to both, and so we went for the 5-year plan to get a lower payment. Finance guy tries to get us to sign without reading the paperwork, but we weren't having that. Come to find out, the longer payment plan didn't qualify for the no-interest deal, and we were getting charged 6.5%, which is a hell of a lot more than zero. We got pissy and threatened to walk out after we realized what they were trying to pull and got them to come down on the price. I know they've pulled that on other recent grads who don't read the paperwork and just sign. Okay, this is just a piece of advice because I know there are actors out there who want to get into the business. I'm a talent agent and entertainment lawyer. I cannot tell you how many contracts I read that include things that are not enforceable by law or are just plain illegal, but actors are so happy to get an agent they sign without looking. Hire a effing lawyer. I used to charge $100 to read a contract when I still did it. It's worth it. Example, I had a client, let's call her Jess. Jess is an incredible talent in voiceover. She, to this day, is one of my best clients. However, when Jess was first starting out about 8 years ago, she signed a contract with an agency out of Kansas City. 2 years later, she left the agency and we picked her up and showed her our contract. She raised her eyebrows at our rates, asking, "How do you guys make anything with such low commission rates?" This, along with a few other things, made me ask if she had a copy of her old contract for me to read. So, here we go. First, it stated that the agency's commission rate percentage of actor earnings they get was 45%. The industry standard? If you're union, it can legally be no higher than 10% and usually never goes higher than 15%, even for new talent that is non-union. Second, it is stated a non-compete clause that lasted for 3 years and covered the entire US and Canada. Not enforceable, and if I'm being honest, I could make a judge throw that out on a dime, but it would cost you a lot of money for me to do so. Usually you don't find non-compete clauses in acting agencies other than a penalty for breaking your contract with us early, which in our agency we usually derive from an average of your earnings during the course of the current contract. Third, this was a fun one. She said she could not deny appearing nude provided proper compensation. I was tempted to hammer this freaking company after reading this. Jess was a very attractive woman, but that changes nothing. Let me be clear to all actors, you have every right to deny a job for any reason you choose. If your agency pushes you into something against your own choice, you call a lawyer or your union rep if you have one. There were about 5 other stupid things about ownership and her responsibilities, but those are the main ones. Nothing makes me more sick than agencies taking advantage of kids pursuing their dream. They are freaking old-age snake oil salesmen who only survive off the desperation of people who have dreams. Being an actor is tough, and your agent is supposed to be on your side. It's an unwritten rule of the profession that unless there are extreme circumstances, you hold the line with your client. That's literally the rules in my agency, and I've fired people for freaking over actors for their own gain. I could go on all day, but please, if you're ever in a situation as an actor or performer where there's a contract, just hire a lawyer to consult and have them read it. It doesn't cost much in the grand scale of what you could lose, and they will always help you because if you're happy, then you'll come back if you need them. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day. Quite a while ago, I bought an extended warranty for something from Walmart. When I got home, I found out they put in an act of God clause that basically made sure they'd never have to pay up. 2 years ago, I went to buy a used car. I really liked it, test drove it twice, and went in for the paperwork. They ran the numbers and gave me the paperwork to review. I busted out my phone and started doing the math on it using one of those websites that calculates auto financing and interest for you. I did the math with the website and on my own 3 separate times while they stared me down. The numbers didn't add up. Turns out they had it set up that payments wouldn't officially kick in until 60 months, but would still be accruing interest that entire time. Screw that. That and the fact that I caught the salesman lying to me on all kinds of things, like this unused space behind the engine is specifically so if you're in a crash, there will be room for it so it won't hit you. No, jackbutt. It's a low-end model with a tiny engine. Don't try to sell this as a safety feature. Ugh. Anyway, I walked out from there and got a lot of passive-aggressive and even threatening texts in the following days. Screw them. I signed up for a gym membership on a whim and got sketched out when they initially charged me $250 instead of only the $90 for the month. I went home and legit didn't sleep because I was so mad I went through with it. I called and asked the next day to see if I could cancel, and almost everyone I spoke to said either no, it was impossible, or only if I moved to an area that didn't have the gym. I checked the contract, and you could cancel within the first 2 weeks, and I was only 3 days into the contract. You bet your butt I canceled so fast. We bought a new RV and received a coupon for 3 free nights at a luxury RV campground park. Of course, to receive the free nights, we would have to sit down with salespeople trying to sell us a membership first. My ex was very gullible and gobbled up the free cookies and sales pitch after they showed us the beautiful photos of their campgrounds all over the state. There were many promises made of ocean views, clubhouses, swimming pools, etc. I was young and he was definitely the one in charge at the time, so next thing I know, the 3 free nights turns into a full-blown membership with extremely pricey annual fees. But now we can camp anywhere, anytime, right? We headed out that weekend to the dedicated property for the free nights, and it's an absolute crap hole. There is no ocean view, the pool is covered in scum, and the club has the smell of a mismanaged senior home with 3 residents staring at us oddly. Basically, it's a gravel-lined trailer park for people who live in their RVs. I'm mad, the kids are sad, and trying to play on the rusty swing set. We bailed out that night after driving 3 hours, and the next morning he tried to cancel. They had told us we could cancel any time. Yeah, right. After rereading the contract, this was a lifetime membership and you could not cancel it without following their exact fine print instructions of cancellation via certified mail written in the blood of your firstborn. It also had to be done within 48 hours of signing. These a-holes sent people away for 3 days to a dump, so when you come back, you're contracted for life like a timeshare. Lucky for us, my bish fit got us home within 24 hours, wrote up their ridiculous demands for cancellation, and booyah, right out of there. Then they tried to not refund us despite it all, and I threatened them with litigation, so they finally did. I have a scathing Yelp review about them that gets regular votes for being useful and funny. They tried to get it removed and failed. Suck it, you dirty, rotten leeches. Landlord agreed to let me move out a month early since he wanted to lease the apartment to someone else. We had to sign new paperwork to let me out of the original lease and to make me agree to be out by an earlier date. I knew he was a recently convicted forger, so I made sure to read what I was signing. He'd added the condition that if anything fell through with the new tenant, that I would still be on the hook for rent after I moved out. I called him out on it and he said, "Oh yeah, I just added that part to protect myself." Then he stole my deposit. I still need to take him to court for that. Frick you, John. Went to buy a new phone for $200. The employee told me they were closing soon and asked if I could come back the next day to sign the paperwork. The $200 mysteriously changed to $300 while the document was sitting on desk overnight. Called them out on it and got it from somewhere else. Some workplace that demanded at least 4 years of employment, or else I would have had to pay for those 4 years as you would pay for a course in case of earlier quitting. My last restaurant job had a non-competition clause in the new handbook. I pointed it out to coworkers, few signed, and it was revised in a week. Went to pick up my car from the dealership and it said by signing the paperwork it gave them permission to lend my information to third parties. Nope. When I went to buy my new car 3 years ago, the finance department processed and had me sign paperwork at a certain price. Then they called me 3 days later and told me that their lender fell through and I would actually have to pay an additional $100 a month. I brought in the paperwork with the price I signed for and the keys. Told them they would stick to the contract or they could have their car back with the additional mileage. Apparently, this is a fairly common practice at car dealerships. Beware. I had taken some helicopter flying lessons and was considering switching careers to that. So I found a flight school and applied for a student loan. Fannie Mae was the only one that would cover it. And when I got the final paperwork, the interest rate was higher than they told me over the phone, and the total payment to them was going to be well over $200,000. So I canceled and didn't go to flight school. At my high school, they set up Wi-Fi for us to use. However, in terms of service, it said that by signing into the network, the school had permission to search the phone and look at its contents. I did not sign in and have not to this day. Buying my house. Husband signed the paperwork and I went in later that day to sign. I started to read through the loan application. Mortgage lender said, "What are you doing? You don't have to read it. Your husband already signed it." I was like, "No, I want to make sure it is what I want." Loan was $250,000 at 25%. Yeah, right. Didn't sign it and got out of there. Mortgage guy said he was going to take me to court. I said go ahead, it would be cheaper than what he wanted me to sign. Took over all the mortgage stuff from then on. Mortgage guy was a friend of a high school friend of my husband. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.